Hey everybody, and welcome to another video. Now in this video we're going to have a look at all the releases in announcements or things I liked from Adepticon 2025. Now Adepticon 2025 just recently ended like about a week ago, and hopefully when you're watching this and the upload times are correct, you'll probably see this a week later. Which basically means a lot of folks who actually attended Adepticon 2025 are safely back home, and all of the events and announcements are hopefully a pleasant memory for everybody. Now, there were a couple of things that I thought were very, very interesting during Adepticon. Now, in case you didn't know, we broadcast out of Malaysia. Where is Malaysia? Malaysia is actually a country that's in Southeast Asia, and for us to get to all the different conventions is not very easy, and especially for me. I mean, it's difficult for me to get to the convention. So whenever one of these conventions arises, right, Adepticon or Salute, or Partisan or the other Partisan happens, I'm always excited to watch the videos, to see what's new, what's happening, and I noticed something very interesting. If I were to look at a lot of Adepticon videos, the overall impression I'm getting is that for Adepticon at least, it's all everything seems to be more skirmish. There seems to be more skirmish games, more small games, more focusing on the smaller kind of games, like skirmish kind of games. So things like Trench Crusade, perhaps. It seems to get a lot of like a lot of press. Maybe because it's currently the hottest thing in town. But I look at a lot of games, but and it seems to concentrate a lot more on the skirmish kind of games, right? I think Blood and Plunder, stuff like really small games. But for things like places like Salute, they do the bigger games. So if I'm looking at wanting to uh, go to events that have like huge tables, right? Huge demo tables. Salute would probably be the one I'd go to. But it just makes sense. As different kinds of conventions have different kinds of vibes, and the vibe I get from Adepticon is it's a little bit more. It's yeah, of course, it's very American. In fact, by the way, they actually moved the location of Adepticon this year to a new location. I wouldn't know, um because I haven't been to the States, and well, let's be honest here. If I had a chance, I'd go. It's just that but yeah, it's held in Wisconsin, I think. I was thinking it's a new location, and it's yeah, the the whole event. Yeah, for me, it's a very skirmish kind of thing. It is a lot of smaller games. I don't see big tables. I don't see huge um participation kind of games. I'm not so sure. I'm watching this through the eyes of a lot of influencers. Uh, and by the way, I'd like to thank all the influencers, for sharing, and being my eyes to go to the conventions, because I get to watch the whole convention in the comforts of my home while you run around with your cameras and stuff like that. So yeah, let's talk about Adepticon 2025 very, very quick. Now, Adepticon 2025 is also when the Golden Demon happens, which is basically the premier painting competition. And I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Adepticon is mostly I feel it's mostly a Warhammer kind of thing, and it's kind of nice that there was something for me to be excited about uh, this year for the Warhammer announcements, and this is of course the Grand Cathay. I talked about this in the previous update video, which is the March update for the shop, right? And yeah, the Grand Cathay is excellent. The figures are very, very nice. Again, just to say that I really like the flying machine, which is very, very cool. I want to talk about the other stuff which I thought was very, very interesting, right, from Adepticon. And one of the first things I want to talk about is this company called Ignition Core. And why do I want to talk about that? It's because apparently they're bringing back Relic Knight. Relic Knights is back. Now, if you do not know, Relic Knights was kind of big. It's got this anime vibe thingy. And we at the shop, as you can see over here, we actually stock a lot of Relic Knights. However, the game just died. In fact, a lot of games that came through, what was it? I think it was it Soda Pop Miniatures. I think, like Super NES and Explore, like that. We stocked those figures, and then stocked the games, and then maybe I wasn't keeping my eye on the ball, but it disappeared, right? So it's really nice for me to see Right Nice being back, and for me, you know, having stocked the game before and played a couple of games. Right? I'm really quite excited when a game comes back and has a second lease in life. So yeah, so that's the first announcement I thought was really, really, really kind of cool. The Relic Knights returning to the gaming tables, also from Ignition Core, which I think is a company I might keep an eye on a little bit more. Is they've released this thing called Ember Obsidian Protocol, and what it is, I think it's like a mecha kind of game, and I've got a feeling that mecha games are now going to be the new thing. I mean, with um with Bandai releasing Gundam Assemble, and I think there's another mecha game apart from BattleTech, which has mecha in it, or mechs in it, right? Um, but it seems the whole mech thingy or mecha thingy is having its day, which I think is really excellent. And for me, at least, a guy who likes giant robots, right, or huge power suits, right? I think this is a very exciting time for this genre of tabletop wargaming. And I had a look at the website, and they apparently they're selling the sets in three different like configurations. They've got the core set, and they got the cavalry set, and they got the heavy metal set, which is basically the heavy artillery or heavy weapon stuff, which I think is kind of cool. So I think when you get the sets, you paint them however you want, and the sets can be interchangeable. I think I didn't look too much into the game as yet. I was just excited about the miniatures. I'm primarily excited about the figures first, and then I go and find out what is this. Is it exciting? What is it? I mean, is it gonna get me all excited and stuff like that? Yeah. So that's Ignition Core, and yeah, as I was saying earlier, BattleTech also made the announcement for BattleTech Gothic. And I told you about the my feelings about BattleTech Gothic uh, in the last update video. But in case you don't remember, I'm quite excited. It's something kind of new. It's nice to have an adjacent game for BattleTech for newbies. I'm always on the side of the newbies. A newbie now can like start with a totally new world, totally new background, and work their way up from there, and later like transfer over to the more historical BattleTech and play BattleTech 3rd edition. So if this gets more players into the game, sure, why not? Battlefield Gothic. I mean, BattleTech Gothic. Yeah, BattleTech Gothic, which I think is kind of cool. Also announced was the Halo stuff, right? But I already covered that in the last update video, and that's Rise of the Vanished, which I think is a good expansion for Mantic's Halo Flashpoint game. Whenever a game starts chugging away like this, I get really excited because it means there's a lot of uh player engagement. There's a lot of excitement, and this basically means the game survives a longer time. Many a time for me, the biggest problem about bringing a new game in is it has this moment of magnesium in life. When everybody's excited about it, and then the game disappears. So I like it when there's a lot of excitement, and it seems that the excitement levels for Halo is there. Moving on, we got an announcement from Archon Studios at Adepticon, and Archon's known for some really nice figures, right? If you didn't get any of the dragons, or didn't get any of the RPG 5e compatible stuff figures, right? Maybe this would excite you, and they're releasing. They got the Starcraft uh, IP, which I thought was like, whoa, uh, it's excellent. And apparently what they're gonna do with it is they intend to have it be more of like a skirmish kind of game, which is kind of cool. So again, the it seems like Adepticon announces most smaller skirmish kind of thing games, and StarCraft apparently is smaller. It's more a smaller miniature count, which I think is exciting. It's nice. It's nice to play with the Protoss and the Zergs and the Marines, different kinds of Marines, by the way. On the tabletop, for guys who are you know fans, this is your time to come and paint some figures. there's a big thing about guys who played Dawn of War, right? Who never ever painted miniatures, who are now huge Warhammer miniature fans, right? So this maybe could happen for the StarCraft world as well. All those guys who are watching those Korean, streaming shows, right, of games being played can now paint some figures and go for it. I was also really excited when I saw the announcement from Steamforged Studios, and now Steamforged Studios have acquired the War Machine IP. Now, if you did not know that, they've acquired the War Machine IP. They've had it for quite a while now, and they actually had their keynote, and I sat down and watched it because we actually carried a lot of War Machine hordes. We carried a lot of the Bodger games. We carried everything. Monster Apocalypse, everything that the previous company, uh, Private Press had, we carried. So when Steamforged took over, there was I was excited. Of course, I was excited. But I was waiting to see what was going to happen. The player base that I know here have more or less dissolved into the water, the stream of gaming. But maybe I don't know. I don't know if the new push of the game will happen. But I sat down for the keynote, and here are some of the points I got from the keynote. And one of the things I thought was really interesting about the keynote is they've got this new way of sculpting miniatures where they're now able to sculpt negative zones in the miniature, which I thought was really cool. For example, like the gun barrels, right? Now, previously you have to drill the barrels. Now you don't have to drill anymore because they've actually found a way to cast the sculpts with the negative zone inside. I thought it was excellent because this basically means that now when they start making other models, the potential just goes up, right? For all these different nice looking, models with negative spaces all over the place, which helps enhance the figure. So I thought it was a really, really exciting announcement. And then they showed me this whole bunch of like miniatures, and one of the things that really caught my eye was the Trichimerax. Is that how you pronounce it? Trichimerax. So it's like three monsters in a chimera thing happening. I thought that was really, really nice. Apparently the figure is really, really huge, and for me, yeah, sure, man, that's exciting stuff. And it seems to me that they're pushing a lot more 80 millimeter bases, right? I think the colossals were 110, 120 mm. So now there's 80 bases. So now I think the War Machine world will have all these like extremely large bases, which basically makes the game move to a more different a more different level of play. So previously, when they first started, it was just 30 mm bases, 40 and 50 bases, and then they started bringing in the battle engines and the colossals, right? And then games started changing to just some people just feeling colossal, and like a couple of warjacks. But now it seems like 80 seems to be the more popular uh, releases that are coming out of Steamforged games. So I'm kind of looking forward to all the 80 millimeter stuff that's coming out. They also announced this thing called a Humble Bundle, which I thought was really kind of cool because over here in the store, we carry all the books as well. And the books is a great source of the fluff, right, or the background. Now, if you do not know, the previous version of War Machine, they had this. Of course, each book and expansion book had background and stuff like that, but they also had this like story that was happening, and a lot of players who got into War Machine got into the story, and they bought the next expansion book. Sometimes just to read what the story is all about. So that was a great way of approaching promoting a miniature game. But what they've done this time is they've actually released this thing called a Humble Bundle, and Humble Bundle is basically the all the RPG stuff, right? All the 5e stuff, 5e compatible stuff, which I thought was kind of cool. And apparently, if I'm not mistaken, some of the funds goes to the charity, if I'm not mistaken. So if you haven't, you go get the bundle, which I think is it's a good idea. Why not? It's a damn good idea. And then they also released the War Machine app, which apparently is free. So if you haven't, you can go and like get the War Machine app. That's free as well. And then they announced during the keynote the returning of the Infernals, the Crucible Guard, the Convergence of Cyrus, and the Grimkin, which is cool. So now that perhaps using all the old sculpts from the private oppressed era of War Machine, and they're bringing it back out again. because for me at least, War Machine, although it died commercially for a while, I was still moving a lot of like old War Machine legacy miniatures, and these are for like these factions, Infernal, Scrimkin. And so now it's kind of cool because now everybody has access to it. You don't have to buy it on the secondary market. I thought it's kind of cool. It looks like Steamforged is chugging on. I even had a customer like message me and he was like, "Hey man, hey Wolf, did you check out the keynote?" And I was like, "Really?" And actually, he was the reason Moxin for me get watching the keynote. I was like, I'm really excited. Things are happening. So I'm excited when gamers are excited. And this looks like exciting news for the Warmahorde's world from Steamforged Games. Moving along, also announcements from Corvus Belli, and it's always nice to see Corvus Belli releasing stuff, and especially now when they've got a whole new world to 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 release miniatures on miniatures for, and of course, they announced the pre-orders for the Imperial Service Bundle and the how do you pronounce those elves again? Sianan elves, I think, which I thought was kind of cool. So all these bundles, with most Corvus Belli releases, they got this bundle thing happening. You get 3 boxes, you get some free figures, and if you buy the pre-order box, there's an extra figure in the box. It's a nice way to like push miniatures and stuff like that. And I thought, yeah, it works. If it works, why not? It works. Um, so that they announced that, which for me I already knew. But they also said something which is really really interesting. They announced that it's true the rumors that U.S. Adriana is dead. So I was like, what? Oh, what? I thought that was a really nice expansion to the Ariana faction. But then it seems that yeah, the old US Ariana is dead. They're coming with new resculpts, which okay, it's kind of cool because whenever when it comes to like Corvus Belli, that's what they do, right? They tend to do a lot of resculpts, which also makes the game actually miniatures actually quite collectible. So I know folks who are looking for old miniatures from when they envision certain characters, certain units, certain way, and now they've got a new way to look at those figures, and people are collecting the old stuff. I thought that's really really nice, and also a great way for them to update. It's just that I'm wondering how come they're updating the US Adriana though. Yeah, maybe they have their own reasons, but when those figures came in, they look very nice. In fact, they look really close to like uh modern um modern troops. Maybe that's the appeal, or maybe the new sculpts will move them away from that. I'm not so sure. Yeah, yeah. And then they also announced in their keynote that they've got this thing called essentials, and the essential sets is basically how you start the different factions. So it's your go to start kit, right? So let's say you want to play like a Pano, there's the Pano essentials, and you can start with. Again, another great way to like push miniatures, another great way to get newbies in, and if that's what they want to do, sure. I'm really excited for any initiative to get new miniature gamers in. Also, what was also extremely interesting was the fact that they're releasing vehicles now. So actually, I remember when Warhammer started releasing vehicles, right? So previously, I think the only land speeder and a land raider, right? So when the land speeder started coming out, that the flying sofa thingy, it was exciting times, right? It's like, look, and then suddenly it hit this like this accelerator, and just tanks just start coming in. Threadhead started getting into the whole Warhammer world, and tanks started getting bigger. Everything from the humble Rhino all the way to the Forge World tanks, right? Imperial Guard tanks. So I don't know whether this will be the beginning of that happening for Corvus Belli, because Corvus Belli has released a couple of vehicles for Infinity, which they look quite good. Actually, they look quite good, and apparently they're huge. I don't have one in my hand to check it out, but from the pictures, it looks like big big figures. Yeah, and um they previously had this one vehicle for Hak Islam, and it was the I can't remember what it was, but I can't remember what they called Bargam. I don't know. But it was made out of metal. It was really heavy. So when I brought in like six of those, I was customs wondering, oh, what on earth are you bringing in, right? Because when they scan, it goes black because they couldn't see what's inside. But it's nice that they're moving over to like plastic right now. Plastic, resin plastic, I think, the material they're going to use for these vehicles. So that's something to look forward to. Which basically means the game of infinities will change now, right? With vehicles, I don't know how do you gonna do vehicles on such a small gaming area. Maybe this is a jump off point to bigger games. I don't know. But yeah, that's the announcement in Adepticon 2025. Right. So in terms of Warcrow, Warcrow has got their own set of release as well. And it's kind of cool that Infinity now has a separate world for them to promote, and they've released their Sinana elves. And the elves look really nice. The scouts look really, really cool. I think it's a new faction for their Warcrow set, and I like the way they are releasing stuff for Warcrow. Right, they actually have started with like two factions, and then slowly bring them another faction in, another faction in, so you get people slowly into the world. The only downside about this is you got folks who are waiting, right? It's the same problem with Conquest, where people are waiting. All of the factions that are out, they go like, oh no, I'll wait for the next one, see whether the next one's kind of good or not. I'll wait for the next one. I'll wait for the next one. So like when the Sorcerer Kings came out, it's too Arabic for me. I'll wait for the next one. Then the Yoroni came out, like, it's too Japanese for me. I'll wait for the next one. And the problem with that is players who already have armies are waiting for their friends to get into it, and their friends are waiting for the faction to come. So that's the downside of releasing like factions this way. But this is the way Walker wants. I mean, if Corvus Belli wants to release it, and I think that's fine. If that's their method. And the elves actually they look kind of good. They've got this I mean the scalps from Corvus Belli is actually outstanding. Yeah, so that's the elves. Also they've got mounted units now. So their Infinity game has vehicles, and now their Warcrow game has mounted troops. And I sort of remember when War Machine brought in their mounted troops, right, for their miniature game, things changed, right? The game absolutely changed, right? And the same way vehicles for Infinity will change the Infinity game, mounted troops for Warcrow will change the game as well. The only downside is Warcrow hasn't had that much gaming time for them to see how much change there will be. So this might be a more smooth addition instead of like what's happening in Infinity when suddenly out of nowhere you've got vehicles in there, right? And the sculpts look nice. They're really big sculpts. Going with what Infinity are trying to do right now, which is basically big, big, big pieces, right? Which I think okay, that's kind of cool. They also announced that they have this new box set coming out called Songs of the Dormant, I think, and another two new factions, which is cool. Now again, yes, they're releasing it slow, but they're doing it kind of fast, right? So over the last like year or so, the factions are coming in fast and quick, right? Two for the first, the third and fourth, and then I think there are six factions, if I'm not mistaken, which makes it really really good, really really excellent, really really uh, um, exciting. That's what you want for a miniature game, especially a miniature game that's new. And to me, Warcrow is new. Corvus Belli may be around for quite a while, but Warcrow is new, and Warcrow now has to compete on a totally new platform without any much help from Infinity, because the guys who are into Infinity are not always going to be into Warcrow. Next up, we have Warlord Games, and Warlord Games announced the release of Konflikt 47, or should I say the re-release of Konflikt 47, or the re-excitement of Konflikt 47, which I think is excellent. To be absolutely honest, I have not played Konflikt 47. When it comes to Warlord Games, I'm really more into their historical stuff. So it's kind of cool that they have that going, and they have relaunching in that for their IP that they have. And it's worth checking out, I guess. And speaking of historicals, right? I wanna like shout out to the guys who are running games. I think I can't remember they're running participation games or tournaments for like Saga, Silver Bayonet, and all this. I know all this. What a cowboy! I think so. All this like sort of historical kind of games as well, and it's kind of cool that even at Adepticon, where it's predominantly science fiction and fantasy, right? Yet a small group sitting on their tables playing. Again, I haven't been to Adepticon, so so I haven't had a chance to to run around. I'm relying on what people are reporting, and it seems like yeah, some folks are doing historicals at Adepticon, which is I think is really cool, because for most of the influencers that I watch, at Adepticon, what happens is the only time I see any historical stuff is when they go to the Warlord section and somebody says, "Hey, and here are the epic miniatures," and oh my god, that's so small, and that's about as far as you'd get, right? There's not a whole lot of coverage for historicals, which again shows the different flavor or difference, right, between different conventions. And Adepticon is mostly science fiction, mostly fantasy, and it's mostly Warhammer, right? Finally, I want to shout out to the winner of the Slayer sword. Let me just try to pronounce his name here. So his name is Borja Calvo Bertrand de Lis. That's a mouthful. And his figure is like really nice. It's a really nice figure. It's nicely painted. If you haven't seen it, here's what it looks like. The detail works really nice. The feathers are really really cool. You can see why it's won the Slayer sword. If you were to see this figure on any shelf, you'd see how good. You immediately your eyes will be immediately drawn to it, which is why it won, I guess. So yeah, congratulations to Bora for winning the Slayer sword, and that pretty much is all of the things I thought were exciting to me, or the announcements I thought were exciting to me. There were a whole lot of other announcements that were done at Adepticon, whole lot of other releases, including from like Warhammer and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna talk about the ones that I kind of like, or else this will be a 3 hour roundup video, which I don't really want to do. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hope you like the video. Hope you like me giving my thoughts or looking at or updating or condensing my likes from different conventions. If you like me doing this, like let me know in the comments, man. I think Salut's coming up, and maybe I'll do one for that as well. But again, I'll probably do it, like, I'm not so sure why I'm asking you guys to help, comment, but do comment so I'll know. But I'll probably do a roundup of Salut as well. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope you like the video, like and subscribe, and don't forget to enjoy painting those figures.